everyone is preparing well. So, as far as TSPSC Group 1 Mains Paper 4, that is economy related paper, is concerned, I am producing introduction and approach series on the economy paper. So, as part of this paper, I already provided two videos. One is related to Indian economy, first part, and I have dealt with the introduction and approach of 5 chapters in that part. And the second video is related to part three of the paper, that is environment and development part. And I have provided approach and analysis or introduction and approach of chapter number 1. So you can access the same in my playlist. You can see the videos. And as far as this video is concerned, in this video, I will be dealing with the second chapter of the part 3, that is development and environmental problems part 3. I will be dealing with the second chapter of part 3. So that is, the chapter is related to natural resources. So if you observe, before going into this chapter, I just once again want to remind the aspirants that if you observe the part 3 of the economy paper syllabus, you will see that the chapters will look like more science and technology related chapters. However, aspirants must note, should keep in mind that while writing the mains answers, as far as these chapters are concerned, your answers should reflect economy angle. Otherwise, if you write the answers without this economy angle or economic pinch, then the answer will become pure science and technology answer, which is not relevant, or which might be necessary but not adequate. So aspirant should definitely keep in mind, while as far as this chapter is concerned, that your mains answer must reflect the economic angle of the issue. So then only it will give a complete picture to your answer. So you just, I keep on saying, as far as this part is concerned, I keep on saying to the aspirants that you must keep this aspect in mind. Don't treat this part as the science and technology chapter and science and technology issues, because nowadays science and technology and development and economy, we cannot divide them. They have to go hand in hand. That is the reason. And one more thing, this is clearly reflected in the union budget, recent union budget, that is 2022 and 23, where there is a component of technology-led development. So these aspects you have to be very clear as far as writing mains answer is concerned from related to these chapters. So now we will go into the details of chapter 2, that is natural resources. If you observe the natural resources, the syllabus is specifically mentioning 4 natural resources, that is forest resources, water resources, land resources, and mining and environment and sustainability of natural resources. So the syllabus is specifically mentioning these resources and issues related to some of these resources, and what are the problem areas of these resources, and sustainability of natural resources is nothing but the solutions for the sustainable use of these resources. So we will be going through one by one and we will be learning how to approach these chapters and on what issues you need to concentrate and which way you have to make notes and which way you need to approach the mains answers as far as these chapters are concerned. And we will be discussing about some of the previous questions asked from on the issues which are related to these chapters, right? Okay, we will be first approaching the forest resources. So here I try to provide some of the basic facts so that I'll be able to introduce you into the issue. So if you see the basic facts, around 30% of world area is covered by forest, whereas 26% by pastures. So it reflects the importance of the forest resources as far as economy, environment, and ecology and balance between these components are concerned. And among all continents, Africa has larger forested area, that is 33%, and followed by Latin America, that is 25%, and whereas North America forest cover is only 11%. So if you see, it reflects North America's forest cover is less. It reflects the more urbanized and industrialized economy. These things you have to keep remember. So, and if you observe the Indian scenario as far as basic facts are concerned, you will get the basic facts related to Indian forest resources in the State of the Forest Report. State of the for Indian State of Forest Report. Why I am insisting on this report is that you will get the basic facts related to Indian forest and what is the classification of forest, what are the resources that you are getting, how forest is improving over the years. All these facts you will get in this report, and I try to consolidate or give some of the facts related to forest in India from the state of the forest report. If you observe that the total forest and tree cover of the country is 8.9 million hectares, which is 24.62% of the geographical area of the country. And as compared to the assessment of 2019, there is an increase of 2,261 square kilometers in the total forest and tree cover of the country. Increasing forest cover has been observed in open forest, followed by very dense forest. And aspirants should understand the classification of forest. So, what is open forest? What is very dense forest? What is the canopy density which will be taken to be considered as the very dense forest, and how very dense forest is increasing over the years, how open forest is increasing over the years. All these things you need to classify, you need to make a notes of it, because maybe there will be a direct question that explain the classification of forest areas in India, and also critically evaluate the increase or decrease in the very dense forest in India over the last decade or last 2 decades. So you have to be thorough with the classification aspect and how the different classifications of forests are increasing over the years in India. Now, if you one of the interesting facts about the Indian State of Forest Report, recent Indian State of Forest Report 2021, that the top three states showcasing increase in the forest cover are Andhra Pradesh, that is 647 square kilometer, followed by Telangana, 632 square kilometer. So this is the reason why I made it a fact that I to provide basic facts about the forest in India, because in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana there is it in the Andhra Pradesh and Telangana are the top states which showed an increase in the forest cover. So there is every possibility to get a question from this angle that how come that Andhra Pradesh and Telangana are on what schemes, based on what schemes and based on success of which schemes that Andhra Pradesh and Telangana showed an increase in the forest cover. So you have to keep this angle in mind. It is very important as far as your mains and your prelims are concerned. So now, if you observe the Indian State of Forest Report 2021, there are some aspects which generated a critical view as far as increasing the forest cover of India is concerned. If you see what are the critical views, a minimal increase of 0.16 million hectares, that is 0.2% in forest cover between 2009 and 2021. And moreover, the quality of forest also seems to have been stable. So the quality of forest is not increasing, it is stable. So this aspect you have to keep in mind. And another thing, there is some increase in very dense forest category with canopy cover of over 70%. And in the open forest category, which is canopy cover of 10 to 40%, and almost an equal decrease in moderately dense forest category, which is canopy cover of 40 to 70%. So this issue is saying there is an increase in the very dense forest category and an increase in the open forest category, and almost an equal decrease in the moderately dense forest category. It is showing that the open forest category is increasing, which is not a good situation for the country when compared to the increase in the very dense and moderately dense forest is concerned. Why? Because if you observe the below details, see here. So critically, what is critically? More forests are now growing outside than inside the recorded forest area. That is, forest land under control of the state government's forest department. So instead of growing inside the forest area, now forest or tree cover is growing more in the outside of the recorded forest area, which shows the decrease in the quality of the forest area, decrease in the quality of the forest area of the country. This is one of the critical points. And another point, most forests are now concentrated in areas classified as tribal by ISFR 2021. And another area is that reported forest area is increasing by counting trees outside the forest. So instead of increase in the inside forest area, the forest area is the coverage or increase in the forest area is based on the counting trees outside the forest, which is not a good sign as far as the quality of the forest is concerned. And one more critical point is that even the forest stock is growing outside and outside the recorded forest area. This is also a critical view. So these things we need to keep a tab, because these are the areas where there is a possibility of asking question that. So typically, just a minute. Critically assess the increase of the. So these are the areas that you keep in mind, because and keep a try to keep notes on these issues, because these are the areas where you can expect a question, right? Okay. Now, if you see, is, I try to provide a graphic of the above critical view. If you see the negligible increase, India's forest cover raised by just 0.2% between 2019 and 2021. And moreover, total here one more fact, they are giving total forest cover increased by 0.16 million hectares only. And very dense forest, how much it has increased, and moderately dense forest, how much it has increased, and open forest, how much it has increased. So if you observe, the open forest is increasing more when compared to open forest area, or open forest cover is increasing more when compared to very dense forest or moderately dense forest. This is not a good sign as far as quality of the Indian forests are concerned. So this is the thing that you need to keep in mind. Sorry. So now you need to understand, we need to make a note on significance of forest. So what is the significance of forest? So they are having commercial value, and they are having effect on a life on economy of tribals, and they are having ecological values, and they are having aesthetic values, and they are very important for achieving NDCs, that is nationally determined contributions of India. So maybe there will be a bad question that what is the significance of forest for the Indian economy, or what is the significance of the forest resources for the sustainable development of the Indian economy, or achieving the balance between environmental and developmental needs of the country. So because of that, you need to try to make notes on these aspects. So what is the commercial value, life and economy, how life and economy of tribals are dependent on the forest, and what are the ecological values and aesthetic values that it is being provided, and how it is being important for achieving the India's nationally determined contributions. So these are the things that you should remember, and you should make notes. And so next aspect we will be dealing with is commercialization of forest. So in this issue, you have to. So basically, what is the meaning of commercialization of forest? So commercialization of forest is nothing but the usage of forest resources or forest products for the commercial purposes to generate some sort of revenue for the local community, or revenue for the what do you say the people who are living in the forest. So it is basically utilization of forest resources or products for the commercial purposes. So now, what is the meaning of the commercialization of forest? You should understand that component. When you understand this component, then it will be easy for you to answer the questions related to this aspect. If you see in the colonial times, The commercialization of the forest resources or forest acts or rules are based on restriction orientation. They want to restrict the access of people to the forest resources or forest production or forest products. So that is the aspect during the colonial times. And during the post-independence, up to Forest Rights Act 2006, the forest policies or forest acts are regulation oriented. They are more regulation oriented. And after the Forest Rights Act 2006, the aspect has been changed and it is rights orientation. That is, the Indian government wants to give the rights to traditional forest dwellers and other scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers. So this is the main distinction between the approach of the forest policies during the colonial times and immediately after the post-independence and after the Forest Rights Act 2006. So this thing you just need to remember, and I will just try to briefly explain so how forest policy and how commercialization has been changed, because it will take a lot of time. I will go on explaining everything elaborately. So if you see in colonial period, cultivation expanded rapidly for a variety of reasons. What are those reasons? The British directly encouraged the production of commercial crops like jute, sugar, wheat, and cotton. So the demand of these crops increased in 19th century Europe, where food grains were needed to feed the growing urban population and raw materials were required for industrial production. And because of this, there is an increase in the, what do you say, cultivation area. And because of that, they try to clear the forest areas and thereby increase the commercialization of forest products and forest resources and etc. So this has also increased the cultivated area. And for during colonial times, for building ships and railways, they try to, what do you say, they try to clear the forest and they try to use the forest resources. So this is also one of the aspects. And one more aspect is that to run locomotives, wood was needed as fuel, and to lay railway lines, sleepers were essential to hold the tracks together. So, because of all these reasons and one more reasons, large areas of national forests were also cleared to make way for tea, coffee, and rubber plantations to meet Europeans' growing need for these commodities. So, because of all these reasons, there is an increase in the commercialization of forest during the colonial period. So after this, so what is the necessity of commercialization of forest? You need to understand the necessity of commercialization of forest. So what is the necessity? One necessity is politically empowered and economically advanced poor, landless, tribals, women, etc. So they want to politically empower as well as economically advance by using the forest resources. So in order to do this, there is a essential, the commercialization of forest is essential component for this. With the commercialization of forest, will generate some revenue for the poor landless tribal women. Thereby, there is a possibility that they can politically empower and economically advance their lifestyle. And one more thing, larger questions of social justice, social welfare, land reform, rural poverty, and political empowerment is possible with the commercialization of forest. So this is the necessity of commercialization of forest, so that you can achieve the social justice, social welfare, and remove the rural poverty and politically empower the people who are, what do you say, who are dependent on the forest resources. So this is another angle that aspirants should understand. And who are the stakeholders in the process? Government is one stakeholder, tribals and other forest owners is another stakeholder, and industry and commerce is another stakeholder. Climate justice is one of the aspects of stakeholders in the forest resources, and larger public interest is another stakeholder, another interest or another issue related to the usage of forest resources. So in this angle, you have to prepare your notes and you have to practice your answer writing, and you have to develop a perspective in these angles. So this is the issue. And one more issue, next issue, as far as the forest resources are concerned, is forest acts versus forest dwellers or users. This is the important aspect, and there is high possibility a lot of questions will be asked from this aspect, right? So contextual background, you just need to understand the contextual background. What is the context of this forest acts, and what are the effects of this forest acts on the forest dwellers? How it has changed their approach towards forest. And so what is the view of the government towards the forest resources? So now this aspect is the contextual background is commercialization of forests, these are the forest rights. So in order to, so these forest acts try to balance forest acts or forest policies try to balance the commercialization aspect as well as the rights aspect of the forests or forest resources. And during colonial times, a German expert, Dietrich Brandis, is the first Inspector General of Forest in India, and he paved way for the regulation. And it turned out, but however, it turned out to be restriction. So what he has done, we will see. So Brandis set up the Indian Forest Service in 1864 and helped to formulate the Indian Forest Act 1865. This is the first act which tried to regulate the forest resources, usage of forest resources. However, it turned out to be restrictive. So the Imperial Forest Research Institute, the FARI, Imperial IFRI, Imperial Forest Research Institute, was set up at Dehradun in 1906. These are the things that were provided or that the Brandis that Brandis helped to establish. So this is the basic facts that you need to remember. So now here we will see how forest acts have been metamorphosed or have been evolved since the colonial era. So if you see the colonial era, they are purported, the forest acts are purported to be for scientific management. However, they are turned out to be regulating and restrictive oriented. So if you observe in some of the acts, the Indian Forest Act of 1865, this is the first forest act. This act empowered the government to declare any land covered with trees as government forests and to issue rules for conserving them. So this has ultimately turned indirectly turned the government as the owner of the forest. This was the first attempted forest legislation by the British India, and it was amended twice, once in 1878 and then in 1927. If you observe the Indian Forest Act of 1878, I'll providing you a brief of these forest acts so that you can understand the gist of these things and you will be knowing how to approach these issues. So if you observe the just a minute, if you observe the Forest Act of 1879, it divided the forests into three categories, that is reserved forest, protected forest, and village forest. So the rights of the people who own forest lands and produce in the reserved and protected forests were restricted and regulated by this act. So the restriction and regulation came into picture, and it empowered the government to exercise control over the forest. So controlling aspect also came with the introduction of Forest Act of 1870. And if you see the Forest Act of 1927, the act consolidated the laws relating to forest, the transit of forest produce, and the duty leviable on timber and other forest produce. So for the first time, the duty component on the forest resources has came. So government view on forest resources has changed from conservation to what do you say revenue realization. So this act was more restricted one, and forest products considered as revenue source for the government. So this is the main 1927 Act was the main act as far as forest is concerned, as far as forest resources is concerned prior to Indian independence. Now, after that, Forest Conservation Act of 1980. So what this Forest Conservation Act basically aims at? So it limits the power of state government to divert forest land to non-forest purposes. So it has some sort of checks and balances as far as diversion of forest land to non-forest purposes are concerned. So next, the schedule and other traditional forest dwellers recognition of forest data 2006. So what is the basic aim of this act? And to recognize and vest the forest rights and occupation in forest land in forest dwelling scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers, etc. So this is the act which tried to provide rights, to the forest dwellers. And with the introduction of this act, then a rights approach has been started in the Indian forest policy. So these are the basic, basic facts that we need to thorough with as far as their salient features are concerned, as far as challenges regarding the implementation or the negative effects of these acts are concerned. So there may be a direct question that what are the salient features of the Indian Forest Act? What is in 1927? How what are the challenges faced by the people because of the 19 Forest Act 1927? So these type of questions we need to realize and we need to try to write answers on these things. So now, apart from the Forest Act, I try to give you some information about the forest policies of India. So there is a possibility that there will be questions on the forest policy of India. So what are the forest policies? The National Forest Policy of 1894 is one policy. The National Forest Policy of 1952 another policy, and the National Forest Policy of 1988 is another policy. Just uh, have posted to make notes of the salient features of these policies and what are the main objectives of these policies. Now, your approach should be salient features, as I already told you. What about the salient features and what is the necessity of these acts, or what is the necessity of these policies? What are the outcomes or results of these policies or acts, and what are the effect on people's or tribals' rights of these policies or these acts? So this is the basic approach that you need to develop as far as this chapter is concerned. And what are the other aspects? As these other aspects on which question might be asked. The one aspect is deforestation, and another aspect is causes of deforestation, and other is effects of deforestation and conservation or conservation methods. So these are the other aspects that you need to concentrate as far as this chapter is concerned. And if you observe the previous questions on this chapter, there are some UPSC questions. I'll just read out so that you will be able to understand how the questions are being framed. So write the provisions of sections 35, 37, and 38 under the Indian Forest Act 1927 apply to control over forest and land not being the property of the government. So what are the provisions of the sections 35, 37, 38, which are controlling in nature? So you just observe that it is directly asking about the sections. And one more question which is asked in UPSC 2021. Describe the provisions of section 3 to 27 of the Indian Forest Act 1927 apply to declare any forest land or wasteland as reserve forest over which the government has property rights. See, this section 3 to section 27 is related to provisions of reserve forest, declaration of reserve forest, and other things. So there is a direct question on the sections. So these are the type of questions that you have to expect or you will get in the exam. So you have to be thorough with the salient features of the acts. One more question, if you observe, how has the National Forest Policy of 1988 changed in the national scenario? Describe in brief. Describe in brief. Highlight some major achievements in relation to above policy. So he is asking about major achievements. So this was asked in UPSC 2020. So these are the questions, or these type of the questions they might ask in the coming exam as far as your forest resources are concerned. Now we will move to water resources. So water resources, they have provided surface water in the syllabus about surface water and groundwater. And these are the what do you say basic details that I'm providing, and I'm not going to so what do you say read each and every fact. So these are the some of the basic facts. If you observe, approximately 70.8% of the surface Earth is covered with water in the form of oceans, and out of this 97% is not fit for human consumption. and about 2% is locked as glacier, etc. So these are the basic facts that is better if you write somewhere. And so one report I have specifically taken out for your convenience. So this report is published by UNESCO in 1988, and its name is World Water Resources, and it is giving the situation, pathetic situation, or you can say not pathetic. It has provided a situation. What is the situation as far as water resources are concerned? So it is giving some details that there is a drastic increase in global water withdrawal since 1950s. The increase was caused by scientific and technological revolution, which permitted the intense development in production capabilities. Because of this intense development in production capability, there is an increase in the withdrawal of the water resources. When compared with previous decades, annual water withdrawal during 1951-60 increased fourfold, and this occurred because of the dramatic expansion in irrigated areas, the growth in industrial consumption, the growth in heat and power engineering water consumption, the intensive construction of reservoirs in all continents. This uh, this piece of information I provided you so that you will get idea of what is the situation of the world water resources, which will be useful while writing your answers. Okay. Then I'll tell you how to approach this aspect or this issue of irresolence. So what is the present situation? As I already told you, make a notes on this present situation. And what are the salience of water for life and livelihood and for economy also? And for economy also. And what is the importance for production and productivity or production and productivity cycles or value chains and thereby to economy as a whole. So you have to move in this manner. Okay. And then just a minute. So quantities of water in various stages of hydrological cycle. I have provided try to provide some table for your convenience. Please you can pause the video and just go through this table so that you will get some idea about the water resources. So next I'll be moving to next aspect. So competing demand for water. There is drinking water and industrial purposes and agriculture. So you can say that domestic use, and for agriculture use, and for industrial use. So I'll go through briefly. So drinking use, it includes drinking, cleaning, personal hygiene, garden care, cooking, washing of clothes, etc. Since the end of World War II, there has been a trend of people moving out of the countryside to the ever-expanding cities. This trend has important implications on our water resources. And government and communities have had to start building large water supply systems to deliver water to new populations and industries. Of all water consumption in the world, domestic use accounts for about 12%. This aspect is important. So it is an approximate thing. So you have to remember that around this percentage in the domestic use or domestic purposes are consuming water. And if you see agricultural usage, agriculture accounts for nearly 69% of all water consumption, basically in agricultural economies like India. Agriculture, therefore, is the largest consumer of its available fresh water. By 2050, the global water demand of agriculture is estimated to increase a further by 19% due to irrigation areas. This is also approximate numbers. We just keep in mind that agriculture is the largest consumer of freshwater resources. And then industrial uses. Water is the lifeblood of the industry and it is used as raw material, coolant, a solvent, transport agent, and as a source of energy. All these. And then manufacturing industries account for a considerable share in total industrial water consumption. Besides paper and allied products, chemicals, etc., are major industrial users of water. And worldwide, the industry accounts for 19% of the total consumption of water resources. So this is also a thing that we need to keep in mind. This I have provided, these facts I have provided for the convenience of the express. Now, how you have to approach as far as this issue of the chapter is concerned. So approach is what is the over exploitation of surface and groundwater. where overexploitation is occurring, and what are the reasons for this overexploitation, and what are the challenges associated with this overexploitation, and what are the effects on economy and environment. So in these angles that you have to prepare your notes and you can expect a question in these angles. So because of over-exploitation, there is a degradation of water resources. How degradation is happening? And there is a water scarcity, and what are the reasons for this water scarcity, and what are the effects on life and livelihood and overall economy, and what are the solutions? There is conservation and management efforts, and what are the water harvesting methods, and what are the traditional and modern methods. There are a lot of traditional methods in the conservation of water is concerned. There is a possibility that there will be a question, what are the traditional methods of water conservation which is being used in different parts of India? Explain some of them. So in this manner that we need to be around and we need to make the notes in this manner. Now if you observe some of the previous questions on this issue, you see how and to what extent Mr. So, how and to what extent micro irrigation help in solving India's water crisis? The question is asked in UPSC 2021. And second question is discuss the Namami Gange and National Mission for Clean Ganga NLCC programs and causes of mixed results from the previous schemes. What quantum leaps can help preserve the river Ganga better than incremental inputs? This is asked in UPSC 2015. So I'm just providing this previous year question so that you will have an idea from which aspects are on which aspects the examiners are stressing more. So this is the thing that we need to observe as far as this issue is concerned. And we will be moving to land resources. So if you observe land resources, again they are using the words of competing uses of land, that is for food, for feed, for fuel, and for fiber. That is food, feed, fuel, and fiber. So from this aspect, you need to concentrate on what are the soil types of India, and you need to classify some of the soils, and you need to find out the geographical areas where the soil types are being concentrated, and changes caused by the agriculture and overgrazing, and problem areas as far as land resources are concerned. There is land degradation, soil erosion, and desertification. And about these problem areas, we need to concentrate on what is the extent and causes of these problem areas, what is the situation in India, what are the solutions and measures to arrest the same, and what are the policies or schemes for the same, for the same or to arrest the these developments. So and more than land use planning and management, how land use planning is being done in India, how land management is being done in India. These are the areas that we need to concentrate as far as this aspect of your chapter is concerned. And another next issue is that mining and environment, which is very important as far as your examination is concerned. And in this area, we need to concentrate about deforestation, solid degradation, water pollution, and air pollution. These are all problem areas because of the mining. And in mining, you have to concentrate on cycle approach. Like what are the problem areas starting from the mining starting period to closing of mining. So there is in every step there are some problems and there are some challenges. That is in every step of the mining there are some problems and challenges. So you need to approach it in a cycle from that. What are the problem areas while starting the mine, and what are the challenges while continuing the mine or while starting the mine, and what are the problem areas or challenges while closing the mine. So this cycle approach will be very useful for understanding the problems of mining and environment, mining related issues. So one more thing I wanted to provide is that this table that pollutants, what are the pollutants from various stages in mining in a mining industry? These are the environment. So these are the aspects. Mining aspects are processes followed in mining activities, and these are the sources and causes of pollutants or toxins, and this is the effect on environment. You can pause it and go through it. You can pause the video and go through it. So I will move into previous question as far as this issue is concerned. So what are the consequences of illegal mining? This is a direct question. What are the consequences of illegal mining? And this is the Ministry of Environment and Forest concept of go and no go zones for coal mining sector. This is asked in UPSC 2013. So these type of questions you should be having an idea, and in this time you need to prepare your notes. And the last component is sustainability of natural resources. How natural resources should be used so that the needs of the present generations should be kept in mind, while the needs of the future generations should not be compromised. So, first of all, what is the sustainable management of natural resources? Using natural resources in a way and at a rate that maintains and enhances the resilience of ecosystems and the benefits they provide. So, there should be a resilient, the ecosystem should be resilient, and they should be able to provide the benefits to the future generations. In doing so, meeting the needs of present generations of people without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Here comes the component of sustainability. So, sustainability. So, what is the perspective that you need to have as far as this aspect is concerned? So, the use of natural resources, an element of human rights and economic development. Now, the use of natural resources is having two aspects. One is it is an aspect or element of human rights, and it is an aspect of economic development. So, the usage or sustainability of natural resources is intertwined with human rights plus economic development. This is the perspective that we have. And natural resources, yes, and natural resource use relates to all three dimensions of sustainability. So the three dimensions of sustainability are related to the natural resource use. So what are those three dimensions of sustainability? Social justice is one dimension, environmental health is another dimension, and economic development is another dimension. These are the three dimensions of sustainability. Then, if you see, the sustainable use of natural resources strives for balance between these dimensions. What are those dimensions which the sustainable use of natural resources strives to balance? Maintaining the long-term use of resources, and then second one is while maximizing the social benefits. So it has to maintain the long-term use of resources, that is sustainability component, and while maximizing the social benefits, that is social justice, and while minimizing the environmental impacts. So these are the three things that it strives to balance. Then if you move further, so what are the efforts which has been done towards the sustainability of natural resources? So why I am providing these all these things is that if you have an idea about this, then it will be very useful for you to write your main answers. And these are the areas that you need to observe to make notes and to get a grasp of the questions that are being asked in the exams. Now you see, I have provided some of the efforts towards the conservation or towards the sustainable use of natural resources. And even I will go through it briefly. Even declare that the right of peoples and nations to permanent sovereignty over their natural wealth and resources must be exercised in the interest of their natural development and of the well-being of the people of the state concerned. So it is it is telling about welfare approach and sustainability component. The 1972 UN Conference on the Human Environment held in Stockholm, Sweden, said that and it speaks of the principle of intergenerational equity. What is this intergenerational equity? It is ensuring that today's resource use does not compromise the availability of natural resources for future generations. So it is stressing on the sustainability, nothing but intergenerational equity. That is carried between one generation of one generation to another generation. And another thing is another important aspect is the intergenerational, the International Resource Panel (ARP), which is launched by the United Nations Environment Program, found that the global average of material demand per capita grew from 7.4 tons in 1970 to 4.2 tons in 2017, which is increasing rapidly. So this shows the what is the pressure on the environmental resources or natural resources. So with significant adverse impacts on the environment, notably increased greenhouse gas emissions. This increased the impacts, adverse impacts on the environment, as well as increase the greenhouse gas emissions. And one more, and next we go to this international resource panel. It also showed that the use of natural resources and the related benefits and environmental impacts are unevenly distributed across countries and regions. So the effects of this intense use of natural resources and related benefits and environmental impacts are distributed unevenly across the countries. That is to say that two countries are facing problems for the lifestyle of rich countries or industrialized economies. Rich countries or industrialized economies. So the benefits and problems are unevenly distributed, and the per capita material footprint in high income countries is 13 times more than the low income countries. That is 27 tons, and compared to the two countries, that is 2 tons per capita respectively. So because of from this you can see the uneven distribution of benefits as far as poor and rich countries are concerned. And after this, what are the other aspects that you need to concentrate as far as this issue of the chapter is concerned? Common but differentiated responsibilities and respective liabilities. Similarly, are also principle. So, what is this principle? You need to understand how it has evolved over the years. You need to have an idea. And climate justice aspect, you need to have an idea. And minimum development goals, MDGs, and sustainable development goals. These are the important aspects as far as your exam is concerned. Right? Okay. Next. So we will see some of the previous questions which are asked over the issues. So explain here, you see directly in the question, intra-generational and intergenerational issues of equity from the perspective of inclusive growth and sustainable development. So it is asking UPSC 2020, it is talking about intra-generational, means within one generation, and intergenerational means from one generation to within one generation and another generation. Within one generation and between one generation and another generation. So we define the concept of carrying capacity of an ecosystem as relevant to an environment, and explain how understanding this concept, that is carrying capacity of an ecosystem, is vital while planning for sustainable development of the region. So it is asked in UPSC 2019. So this basically talking about the carrying capacity of an ecosystem, and how understanding this concept is how it is vital while planning for sustainable development of the region. So this is the issue. So these are the issues that you need to keep in mind when preparing for this chapter or preparing notes for this chapter. Just a minute. Okay. So this is the end of the second chapter in part 3. In the coming videos, I will be providing introduction and analysis of the remaining chapters. That is chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5 of part 3. Okay, thank you.